This is episode 63. Are you ready to hack learning? Welcome to the Hack Learning Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Barnes, providing right now solutions to some of your biggest teaching and learning problems. Now, let's hack learning. And today we're hacking school discipline, and why wouldn't we want to do that? Can you throw out the detention room in schools? The people at Robert W. Coleman Elementary School in Baltimore certainly think so. And they are reimagining school discipline and detention and other kinds of punishment. And instead, they are sending their students to the mindful moment room. Doesn't that just have a certain peaceful, calm nature to the name itself? Mindful moment room. Take a moment. Okay, you don't really have to do that when you meditate. But what the people at Robert W. Coleman Elementary are doing is they are saying it's time to stop putting our kids into a detention room. It's time to stop making them stand and stare at the walls or do some other unseemly thing that in a traditional world means punish. Let's punish them for wrongdoing and hope that the fear of future punishment makes kids stop the behavior. Well, we know it doesn't work. There's no research to prove that that kind of punishment works, and kids will tell you that it doesn't work. And so will principals. I worked for a principal one time who started his career in charge of discipline, and he had been at it for years. And we had a detention room in the school, a place where teachers could dismiss unruly students and say, go on down to, we had a cool euphemism for it, the student management room, or as we called it, the SMR, because that was easy. So if a student is doing something that a teacher doesn't like, no matter what that might be, we say, head on down to the SMR. I talked to this principal about it, and I said, tell me about the kids who go there. And he said, they're really the same kids, that in a year, you could have hundreds, maybe even thousands of referrals to this student management room. And he said that 80% of those referrals were around the same small group of kids. So we had a building of 700 students. And he said you were looking at the same 50 to 70 kids who were sent to this SMR on 80% of the teacher referrals. So when kids got there, it was sort of a game. And in fact, this principal told me once that they had come to discover that the kids in some cases just wanted to get out of class. And they knew, they figured out the teachers. Teachers would have certain triggers. And if they push the right button, the teacher would go, okay, get out, head on down to the SMR. See, I know this because I did it. There were times when I was guilty of sending kids constantly to this room because it just got them out of my hair. I didn't have to deal, with the kids who were talking or a kid who was out of his seat too much. That was back in the day when I was that traditional my way or the highway guy, and that highway led straight to this SMR. Well, Robert W. Coleman Elementary in Baltimore had a similar room, and they may not have called it the student management room, but it was a detention room. It was a place like my old SMR where teachers could jettison students when they were misbehaving, and then they went there and they received some sort of punishment. This Robert W. Coleman Elementary, as reported on Upworthy.com, and we'll share this on the show notes page, they decided that they didn't like the impact of this room. Students were being sent there too often, as with my old school. Students were then having behaviors escalated, and the punishments escalated to out-of-school suspension, and they realized that this isn't helping kids learn. So they did something pretty cool. They partnered with an organization in Baltimore, and the organization helps people learn to meditate, among other things. But one of the prime things is to get people, kids included, to learn about mindfulness, a form of meditation in which you focus on breathing and you put yourself in one moment in time. And you're mindful of this moment, and you're mindful of one thing and maybe push out as many other things as you can. In many cases, that mindfulness is strictly about your breathing. And you're focusing on one thing and pushing other things out of your mind. And you're relaxing your body, you're relaxing your mind, you're pushing stress out. Slowing breathing is a very healthy thing. So what they did at the school is they connected with Holistic Life Foundation in Baltimore, and they help people learn how to do these mindful meditation practices, yoga, and other things that relieve stress. The people at the school said, let's bring in Holistic Life Foundation. Let's have some of their teachers or coaches come in and help us with this, and let's create this room. Rather, let's convert this horrible detention room into something that is far more valuable. If we create a room that the intention is to go there and to calm yourself, to sit in a comfortable chair or on a pillow or a beanbag, to sit in a position and to change the way you breathe, slow everything down. And of course, they still integrate some reflection on what got them there and some behaviors that perhaps they should change in the future. And what Robert W. Coleman told Upworthy in this recent article is that they have seen a dramatic change at their school. The people helping them, the people from Holistic Life Foundation, have said the same thing. They talk about the kids and their attitudes and how they may want to go to the mindful moment room, but it isn't because of negative behavior. It is now because they enjoy slowing everything down and getting rid of their tension and anxiety, slowing their breathing, pushing out bad thoughts and bringing in good thoughts. This is important to me because I learned about meditation some time ago. I was having some stressful moments, as I think all educators do. And there was a time when the stress was getting to me. That was the problem. And kids were getting to me. And that's not good for a teacher. And I was having trouble dealing with these kids. So school discipline was really the problem, and we deal with problem solution here at Hack Learning. Someone recommended meditation to sort of get the stress out and the anxiety and to calm, and that would be a good start to deal with kids in a different way. So I decided to explore, as I do. I think it's important that we're always learning. So I found a book called Meditation for Beginners, 22-day course to reduce stress and anxiety. And you can get this on Amazon. It's very inexpensive. You can get it on Kindle, put it right on your device, and we'll link it on the show notes. It's written by Vern Lovick, who has studied meditation for a very long time, studied psychology. He knows a lot about people and a lot about anxiety, and he has learned how to use mindfulness. So really, our hack for school discipline is this idea of mindfulness, that we should learn how to meditate, probably educators themselves, and we should also then pass this along to kids. So how do we do it? Well, in a moment, as we always do on the Hack Learning Podcast, we are going to go into the What You Can Do Tomorrow segment. And I think it'd be great if you take some of these ideas and you go back to school, and we're going to try mindfulness because we've got some right now solutions. So we're going to get to that What You Can Do Tomorrow section in just a moment. But right now I want to talk about this episode's sponsor, Kiddom. Hey, education hacker, Kiddom helps teachers turn personalized learning from a buzz phrase to reality. With Kiddom, teachers gain access to an unlimited library of standards-aligned content with beautiful, actionable reports. The best part is, Kiddom is 100% free. Check it out today. Go to kiddom.co/hacklearning to start engaging your students one-on-one. That's kiddom.co/hacklearning. So think of how you punish students. Think of how you maybe punish your own kids if you're a parent, and the impact of that punishment. The old carrot and stick. There's so much research to indicate that it just doesn't work. It doesn't change behavior. And that's the ultimate goal here, is if we don't like the behavior of students, we need to change it, but we also need to get them to consider what it is and what went wrong and how they can cope. And what the people at Robert Coleman Elementary School are finding is that meditation helps for a variety of reasons. So what can we do to start this? You say, okay, that sounds great. Well, they've got a whole room and they've got a company helping them do this. But what could I do as an individual educator if I go back tomorrow? How can I use meditation to improve behavior in my workplace? Here's what I think, first of all, and I have experience with meditation. I would recommend beginning with a resource. And that resource could be something like Vern Lovick's Meditation for Beginners. And you can find it on Amazon, and also we'll link it on the show notes. And you can put this on your Kindle for $3.99. Now, this isn't a commercial. Vern Lovick's not paying the Hack Learning podcast to promote the book. So we believe in this, though. I believe in it specifically because I've used it. So first of all, from a trusted source, you get the knowledge that you can learn meditation. And even though this is a 22-day course in an ebook, you could read the whole book in probably an hour, maybe 90 minutes. And you can dive right in. In fact, on the first day, and this book is broken up into course days, you could really go into day one and you could start meditating immediately. And there are really simple solutions. And that's why I like Vern Lovick's book. I've read a lot of things about meditation, but what I love about Vern Lovick is that he says, here's how you do it. Start right now. It's day one. Sit down. Here is how you meditate. You know, you might be saying, okay, well, I get meditation. But there are some important strategies. And what you can do is you could take that to school the next day. What if you say to your students, hey, today we're going to try something new. And it's not about math, it's not about science, it's not about social studies or foreign language. What we're going to do is we're going to meditate. Well, first of all, you'll have them. They'll be engaged. They'll be amazed and go, oh, okay, what are we going to do? How does this work? How does this fit into class? And what you can do if you've got space, you can put kids in a different space. You can put them on the floor. If you have a comfortable place at your school, you can take them there. If it's warm outside, you can go out. Or you can just sit at your tables or desks. And the idea is to teach them about mindfulness. Because mindfulness means that we are focused on something and not everything. And we all, adults and kids, attempt to focus on everything. So what I might do is say, let's push everything out of our minds. Now that's a really challenging thing to do. Vern Lovick goes on and on about this in his book, Meditation for Beginners. 22-day course to reduce stress and anxiety. He calls it a circus of thoughts. He says, you're always thinking, no matter what. You can say, people say, what's on your mind? Nothing. Well, there's always something on your mind. Lovick teaches you how to eliminate almost everything. So, and then there's a lot about breathing. And breathing is very healthy. Obviously, we need to breathe to stay alive, right? But the idea of breathing the right way, if you've ever coached, you've talked to kids about breathing. If kids are tired, if they've run a race or played a basketball game or something, we talk about slowing the breath. Breathe in deeply, breathe out, exhale slowly, and hold those breaths, and that slows down your heart rate, and it's really good for the body. You could teach kids that. That could be one thing. You learn a little bit, even if you just found an article. If you didn't buy a book, if you went online and you found a free article, and we'll put resources on the show notes page that you can go to immediately, you could read right now. Now, if you're listening to this in your car, you can't do this. Don't try to read while you're driving. Eyes on the road. Be mindful of your driving. But when you get a chance, you can click through. You can see some of these amazing articles, and you can learn right away the best way to meditate. And if you're thinking of the old school, I got to sit in this lotus position and, I have to have incense or candles. You really don't. And that's the other thing I love about Meditation for Beginners by Vern Lovick is he talks all about how you don't have to do any of that. He focuses you on how to be mindful no matter what position you're in, no matter where you are, no matter what's going on around you. And you can then pass this along to students. So take a resource, and you can do that immediately. Go to students and say, we're going to talk about being mindful. We're going to push other things out, and we're going to focus maybe on one thing, and let that one thing be breathing. And teach them how to breathe in slowly and exhale slowly, and to slow everything down. And then what you can do tomorrow as well is reflect. Do this activity. You could take 5 minutes of a class, and boy, would this be a fabulous 5 minutes. Take this 5 minutes and then talk about it. And say, ask kids, what did you think of this meditation? What did it do for you? How does it change you physically, emotionally, spiritually? And we're talking about the body and mind spirit, not religion. Separation of church and state, right? So give it a try, because it could make a huge difference in your classroom. And imagine if behavior is not an issue. If you don't have to worry about disciplining your students, if you hack discipline, imagine how much more teaching and learning will happen at your school. So let's hack classroom and school discipline. Let's help our kids become mindful. Let's teach them proper breathing. Let's learn about good meditation practices. And let's give it a try right away, because there's no telling how much better you and your students will be when you hack discipline and you meditate. As always, we continue the conversation at #HackLearning on Twitter and on the show notes page at hacklearningpodcast.com. Thanks for listening. See you next time.